Okay, well, dealing with the resurrection again, and in Matthew 27, verse 53, we are told that Jesus is resurrected in the English translation, but it is a purposeful mistranslation of the word agersis. There is one word, agero, which means to recover, to rouse, to wake up, to snap out of it. And this is a form of that word. It is the only place in the New Testament where it is used in this present form, and that is agersis. Strong's number is 1454. And there is another word of agero, which means absolutely the same thing, and it's number 1453. Neither one of these words means a resurrection. It means a recovery, a resuscitation. It is the same word that is used when we are sick of the flu, and then we get over it. We are sleeping, and then we awake, and we may lie there for a minute, but then it takes our thoughts, finally gather our thoughts, and we get up. Well, this is all the word means: to recover, to recoup, to resuscitate. It does not mean resurrection. It is strange too, because this passage that we read is entirely out of place in the context of the story. We have Jesus on the cross. They have just lifted up a sponge of vinegar to his mouth, and then he is cried out with a loud voice right after that sponge touching his lips, and he gives up the ghost. Seems a little strange. But then we're told all these things that happened in the English text anyways. It's saying after his resurrection. He's still on the cross. Why are we talking about things that happened after his resurrection? He hasn't even been put in the tomb yet, you see? And then we're told how the centurion and those that were with him watched Jesus, and they saw the earthquake and all these things that were happening, the veil in the temple renting in two. Jesus is still on the cross, and yet we were told that this happened after he recovered. So I don't understand why it's here. It certainly does not make any sense to be here. Christ hasn't been placed into the tomb yet, and this are all things that are supposedly happening after Jesus was put in the tomb. So whoever placed this in the text kind of jumped the gun quite a bit. At any rate, no resurrection of Jesus recorded in any of the scriptures. And there's also what we can see in the last chapter of Mark, that Mark used to end in chapter 16, verse 8, where the women were afraid and they just ran away. They saw the tomb empty. They saw the rock rolled away. Why? Was there an earthquake? No. It just says that they were wondering how they were going to move the rock, but when they got there, it was already moved because it was big. I know of nothing big that just moves because it's big. Mountains are big. They don't move just because they're big. Generally, something has to be motivated somehow. It needs some kind of a push. It needs a vibration. It needs to be an angle or something, and somehow it's going to slide downhill, roll across the crooked floor, roll across the table that's crooked. But things don't just move because they're big. But that's what we're told in the 16th chapter of Mark, is that the stone had just rolled away because it was big. At any rate, we're told that they just ran away. Didn't say anything to anyone. And then someone later on, we're told, because we know now that the oldest Gospels didn't even tell us about any resurrection of Christ or any ascension of Christ, and now all those things have been added on to the Gospel of Matthew. But these are teachings which originally were just never there. So we've seen in the Gospels that the word anastasis, again, that's Strong's number is 386. That's the word that means resurrection. That is the only word that means resurrection from the dead. And it is never, ever used in the four Gospels, either by Christ to speak of himself, other than the fact of saying that I am the resurrection. He never said that he was going to be raised the third day. He was going to be resurrected the third day. And no one ever says that he was resurrected. They just simply tell us that he recovered, that he was resuscitated. The Christian faith is not based on truth. Thanks for listening.